everyone, and thanks for joining us today. My name is Crystal Cochran, and I'm the director for the Military Spouse Fellowship Program and have the lead for the Salesforce Fellowship Program. So I'm very excited to have an opportunity to talk to you all today about that program, to make sure everybody's on the same page. This particular webinar today is geared towards hosts or potential hosts, companies who are interested in potentially hosting a fellow. And many of you have already talked to Adrian or Stephanie or me about the program. So excited to be able to spend a little bit of time with you and really walk through some of the details. I'm going to be joined today by Adrian Shirk with Salesforce. So I'll ask Adrian to introduce herself as well.
Thanks so much, Crystal, and thanks to the entire Hire Heroes team. My name is Adrian Shirk, and I'm an Army veteran. I work on the Salesforce military program and focus solely on helping our partners and customers find veteran talent for their Salesforce roles. We're really thrilled to offer this opportunity to all of our ecosystem customers and partners. And just as Hire Heroes is here to support you through the fellowship, our team is as well. So if you have any questions anytime, please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly, and I'll make sure that you have all the info that you need. So look forward to chatting with you today.
Thanks so much, Adrian. Just so that everybody knows, also on the line is Stephanie Murphy. Stephanie's going to be off camera today, but she is the one answering questions behind the scenes. So to cover a little bit of housekeeping for you, a couple of things I want to help with. If you scroll over the bottom of your screen, if you're less familiar with the Zoom webinar platform, there are two buttons that are going to be helpful to you, hopefully. One is a chat button. You can chat with other panelists, with our panelists, as well as put things out to the group. And also, probably more importantly, is our Q&A. So if you have specific questions as they come up, Stephanie will be monitoring the incoming questions. If it's something more specific to one company, she'll likely answer it in writing. If it's something that really has applicability to the wider group, then we will be stopping a couple of times, once about halfway through the presentation and then once towards the end to take questions and have some discussion. And please utilize that. This is a really great opportunity for us to have an open discussion about the program and really answer questions and talk through some of the nuts and bolts. With that, we are off and running. Let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, so I'm really excited that we have this opportunity to launch this pilot program with our friends at Salesforce. Adrian will speak a little bit more towards the end and share some insights with you. But really, you know, they came to us early on in COVID to say we want to find a way to really help in the veteran and military spouse employment space. What can we do that's really going to make an impact right now in the short run? And we already had several really successful fellowship models that we've been running for several years. And so we looked at how can we utilize that model to help immediately. And so the goals of this program are at least twofold. One is to really create short-term employment opportunities for veterans as well as military spouses. So something that's right now, given the current crisis, let's get them back to work. And the second is to build their experience. So our candidates are people who've already completed at least one Salesforce certification. So generally speaking, the starter, the entry point is the administrator, but it can be any certification that they've completed. So a lot of them come to the table having just completed that certification and don't have the experience yet. Others have experience already, or they've been working in roles that involve Salesforce for Salesforce customers. So it's going to be a variety of different kinds of people, but they're really looking to be able to build their skill sets, gain experience, build their networks, and have experience and resumes that are much more competitive for roles in the Salesforce ecosystem. So a little bit about the fellowships and what they're going to look like. We are going to run 3 groups or 3 cohorts this year, which, by the way, is a little stepped up from our usual plan. So it's going to be a wild ride. So the cohorts are 12 weeks long, and the first week the fellows are with us for orientation and training. And then after that, 4 days a week, they're with their host company. Now this program's entirely virtual, so they're going to be with their host company virtually. And then on Fridays, they join us, and I'll tell you a little bit more about what we do there later. But The goal is really to create that opportunity, to build that experience, have short-term employment, and in many cases, it's going to lead to an actual job offer and a job opportunity. As well, that it depends on the company, it depends on the candidate, but we're really excited to have that opportunity there. The candidates are interviewed and matched with host companies after completion of their Salesforce certification, as I said, and it really gives them this hands-on experience. So let me go to the next slide and tell you a little bit more of the details on it. What does it bring for you? Why host a fellow? So in the short run, obviously you're adding manpower to your team in very specific Salesforce ecosystem roles. As well, you're gaining access to a pipeline of talent. Obviously our veterans are really looking for that next step. They've completed their certification, they're ready to go. Some already come with, IT backgrounds. Some, this is an entirely new area. They've heard this is a burgeoning career field and they're, just getting their feet wet in it. And same with our military spouses. So this is a way to gain access to an available pipeline of talent. In addition, if you're looking at your diversity and inclusion on your teams, this is a very easy way to bolster those existing programs. Our veterans and our service members are very diverse crowd. And as well on our military spouse side, I'll say 92% female. So if you're looking to add additional diversity on your team, this is a very easy way to do that. And on top of that, you're able to help veterans and military spouses and really create opportunities for their families and help build their networks, help them really establish themselves in this ecosystem. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's the nuts and bolts. Let me walk you through it. So obviously we're recruiting for candidates right now, as well as for host companies. I want to tell you that we've had an incredible response right off the bat with this. And most of them have come right from Trailhead and we're just kind of bumped right over to us. So we have had about 400 people, veterans and military spouses, reach out to us with an initial application. We consider that kind of an inquiry, like, I'd really like to learn more about your program. And then after that, we've already had nearly 100 of them complete their applications and let us know they want to go forward with the process. So, an incredible response from the community. By the way, we are looking to put 60 veterans and military spouses into this program this year. So I am pretty sure we will not have a problem doing that. Once we get their applications completed, we're looking for a few things. We're looking to make sure that they do have the certification completed before we're putting them out there as candidates. So we have maybe half of our candidates right now that have already completed certifications, and then the rest who are just completing and just undergoing the testing. So we're going to make sure that they've completed their testing and passed the testing before we move them forward. In addition to that, we do initial interviews with every candidate. We're a very high touch program with all of our fellowships, and we really believe in getting to know our host companies and what they're looking for and what their needs are, as well as getting to know our candidates, what they're looking for, and how we can really help with that. So we do initial interviews to do a couple of things. One is to be able to walk them through the program and make sure it's a good fit for them. And the other is to make sure that we're sending forth vetted candidates who are really ready to be stepping into these kind of roles, so that once you receive the list of candidates, you know that these are vetted candidates that have already been prepared and that we feel are a good fit for this program. Once we finish up the initial interviews, and for our first group, that'll be in the next couple of weeks. Our application window closes in about a week, next Friday. That makes it exactly a week, next Friday. So we are deep in initial interviews. In fact, our program manager has been in interviews all week and will be in interviews all next week. And the whole team is running interviews. So we're going to complete the initial interviews over the next couple of weeks and make a decision about who's moving forward as candidates. Once that happens, here's what the next step looks like. We take all of the resumes, we bundle them together into a packet, and we blast it out to all of the potential host companies. resumes. We also include some background data for you in a sortable spreadsheet so that if you're looking for specific skill sets or a specific certification, you can just go ahead and sort based on that, as well as information about their background, their education, things that might be helpful to you in taking what is potentially going to be a large group of resumes and narrowing it down to the ones you really want to spend your time on. So you have those resumes for about 2.5 weeks. This is the interview window. What are you going to do during that time? The first thing you're going to do is really take a look at that, narrow it down, and figure out who's potentially going to be a fit for the type of roles that you're looking to fill and where you foresee utilizing that fellow. Once you do that, then you can reach out directly to candidates, set up interviews for them, run some quick interviews, probably not your whole process. For many of you, your whole process is a couple months, right? So it's running some quick interviews because we have a short period of time. And then at the end of that, you're going to reach back out to us and let us know, of the candidates you interviewed, which ones do you feel like are a fit for what you're looking for? And of those, you're just going to let us know, here's my top choice, my second choice, if there's a third or a fourth, and which ones just, aren't a fit for that role. By the way, the candidates are giving us exactly the same feedback, because this is really, to me, part of where our program is so successful, is on being very careful making matches up front, making sure that we're making a match that represents a true opportunity for both sides and that both sides' interests are going to be represented. So once we get that information, we have all of that data, we bring everyone together, and we make some decisions. But essentially, we're matchmakers at that point. So we do some matchmaking, decide where we can make placements, and then we reach out to candidates and we say, first, do we have an offer for you? And if we do, what company is it with? What is the role? And then they let us know if they're accepting or not. By that point, usually we've done our job pretty well. And by far, most of them say, I'm so excited. I love it. I can't wait to get started. And for others, if we tell people, if you don't feel that way, then say thanks, but no thanks. We really want a strong start. So very shortly after that, we reach back out to the host companies and we send an email that essentially says, congratulations, we're so excited that Roberta Smith has accepted your offer for a fellowship. Between that email and the point at which you're starting, which is somewhere like third week of July-ish to the second week of August, it's a window of about 3 weeks. So you have that time to utilize to prepare, to make sure that you have a good onboarding plan, that you know what projects and tasks they're going to be assigning, that you know who's going to be supervising, who's going to be mentoring, all those things. And I'll get into some more of those details in a few minutes as well. So then you're off and running with the fellowship. So during the fellowship, as I said, 4 days a week, they're with you virtually. On Fridays, they attend huddles with us. Let me tell you a little bit more about the huddles. The huddles are leadership huddles that are intended to really round out their skills, prepare them for Salesforce ecosystem roles, and prepare them just for their continuing in their career from where they're at. We spend time on things like networking, resume review, interviewing skills, a really, really holistic approach. And we do it with partners. So we're bringing subject matter experts in to talk to them. And also, they build this fellowship within the fellowship. They become supports to each other. So it's a really exciting opportunity for our fellows to learn from each other's experiences and share, as well as learning from experts in the field. That's a little bit about kind of the A to Z of the program. So let me pause there and ask Stephanie if we have any questions at this point that we should be addressing for the group.
There is not any questions. I addressed one in the chat. They had wanted to know, what are the job offer expectations the candidates have after the internship? So I explained experience versus not and what host companies want to do, but feel free if you want to address that.
Yeah, and I'll touch on that as well. Thanks, Stephanie. And I don't remember if that's in my upcoming slides or not, but let's cover it now just to make sure we don't forget. So what is the expectation of the host company in terms of a job offer on the back end? I'll be honest, do we love it when there's a job offer on the back end? Of course we do. It's a total win-win. But I'll come back to the goals of the program as we, really started these discussions with our friends at Salesforce. The goals of the program are really short-term employment, gaining experience, potential for a job offer for sure. But not every company is going to have that, either because they just don't have that job opening at this time, or because right now they can't guarantee that. Right now things are a little bit uncertain and they can't say for sure. So what we're telling our host companies is just be open and transparent about that. You may have be able to offer a great experience, and it's experience only. Let the candidates know that. You may for sure be looking for talent. Let them know that, or you may be somewhere in between. It really depends. We don't know what kinds of opportunities are going to come up between now and the next 4 months, because that's, there a lot can change in that time. So we just ask that you be really open and transparent about that, and ask the candidates as well. Ask them what they're seeking. We have some who would just be thrilled to get some experience that really is applicable in this ecosystem. And we have, frankly, others who are looking at quitting jobs to be able to participate in this program. So you need to ask those questions from them and make sure that it's going to be a match and a fit for both of you. So hopefully that helps. Okay, and we'll take more questions at the end as well. Let me go to the next slide. So I want to spend just a little bit of time talking about how you set yourselves up for success to make this the most valuable experience as possible during the fellowship. So a few things, and I'm not going to take them on in any particular order, but really looking at making sure you have good written plans ahead of time. What is often kind of heartbreaking for us is when we have companies that are newer to this, that haven't been engaged in the fellowship before. A lot of times it's like there's a lot of excitement around it. They're thrilled to bring someone on, and oh, by the way, this is a side gig for them and not their primary job. So they get a little bit behind, and a couple weeks into it, we'll start getting emails or calls from the fellows like, I love it here and I love everyone here, but there's no work for me to do. I'm asking, nobody seems to have anything, or I've been given a couple small things. So you really want to utilize the time up front to make sure that you're putting together good plans, that there's projects that you have in mind, that there's regular tasks, and especially in a virtual environment, making sure that you have regular, weekly or bi-weekly touch points with your fellows. Think about things like including them in meetings, even if it's not directly applicable, just to give them an idea of what is it like to work for your company in this industry? How does their Salesforce role, work in this company? How does it mesh with the other business lanes? Definitely make sure that you have the ability to assign mentors. It's going to be incredibly valuable. And you might think about two different kinds of mentors as well. There's the mentor who maybe is somebody a little higher up in the company who has some sage wisdom, and then maybe somebody else who they can just ask the dumb questions to, where they feel comfortable not, embarrassing themselves maybe a little bit and saying, I didn't want to ask so-and-so this, but I really can't figure out how to access this file. So small things like that. And definitely provide feedback along the way. Be willing to be really open and transparent with the fellows about what you're seeing, where you think they could improve, where their skill sets are really just stellar and what they need to build out and work on. Next slide, please. So I think I've covered some of this. I would say, especially in a medium to large size organization, share information about your fellow across the organization. What we sometimes find is fellows get asked a lot of questions like, who are you? Why are you here? We don't understand. Even occasionally, are you here to take my job? So, feel free to share some background information about your fellow as well. We always share some collateral that you can use so you're not reinventing the wheel about the fellowship program, about why the fellows are there. So share that with your internal stakeholders so that they understand the program and maybe are more inclined to get involved and engaged and reach out to that fellow. Certainly cross-functional opportunities, give them some exposure to the other business lanes. Let them know where there are unwritten rules. What is that? Share that org chart, or help them understand where they fall in terms of things. And I always love to include this. Brag about your involvement in the program. Utilize this as an opportunity to talk on LinkedIn or on Twitter about how you're involved in this Salesforce fellowship program and about how you're creating impact for a veteran or for a military spouse. We do have a social media kit. It's not long or intense. It's not like a 15-page document you have to go through. It's a 2-pager that helps provide some really good guidance, as well as some examples that you can draw on, personalize, and blast it out with little effort. Share some backgrounds and pictures of your fellow working, in their virtual site. So definitely take advantage of that. Utilize the program to be able to, show your company's involvement in what they're doing in the veteran and military spouse employment space. Next slide, please. Okay, so I want to spend just a little bit of time talking about why we include military spouses in a program like this. And, I think that for most of our people, if you talk about hiring veterans, everybody already completely gets that. And having spent time on the phone with a lot of companies who've shown interest, most of the people I've talked to are veterans, so everybody gets this. But I want to spend time sharing with you a little bit about that and sharing some facts and data you can use as you're speaking about the program internally. So the most important reason to be able to bring a military spouse onto your team is because you're gaining access to a pipeline of talent that's underutilized. So about 1 in 4 military spouses are unemployed. That's of those spouses who are seeking work, right? That is crazy. Especially think about yourself in February of 2020. Especially our HR professionals, we're in the middle of a war for talent. Nobody can get their hands on the talent they need to fill the roles that we have open. And yet 1 in 4 military spouses is unemployed. So you're gaining access to a pool of talent that is highly educated, highly qualified, highly diverse. Again, 92% female. So you're already hitting a lot of your marks in terms of some of your diversity and inclusion goals. Why do I refer to them as highly educated? Well, okay, first I am, so let me own up to that, because we are. I will tell you that across our programs, 41% of our military spouses have master's degrees. Master's degrees. That's to say nothing of the certifications and the licensing. Some of them have multiple degrees, mostly because we've made ourselves extremely flexible to be able to be competitive in whatever market that we're dropped into. So on top of that, because of the fair amount of change and adapting to different environments, you have a very culturally sensitive group of candidates who can connect easily with a variety of different kinds of people, your internal and external stakeholders. And again, because of change being just a part of everyday life, very flexible, very adaptable. And when they get that job, they are so highly committed. They are grateful to their employers for giving them this opportunity and want to do whatever they possibly can to stay with it. So enough on that, but hopefully I've given you some food for thought on that one. Next slide, please. Okay, so I just want to provide for you some dates. If you've reached out to us already, you've probably been sent the program dates. If not, feel free to reach out. I'll ask Stephanie to share her address as well as my email address in the chat, just in case somehow you don't already have these dates. And it gives you a little bit more details about exactly when resumes are going to be released, exactly how much time you have to review them. But this is what the basic cadence looks like. We're starting a new cohort about once a month. Next slide, please. Okay, so again, we're so excited to be working with our partners at Salesforce on this, and I really want to turn it over to Adrienne to share a little bit more from the Salesforce perspective.
Thanks, Crystal. A fantastic overview. We are so lucky to have Hiring Our Heroes as our partners in this fellowship. They are doing a fantastic job managing job seekers and host companies, so all credit to HOH here. But Salesforce is really thrilled for this opportunity. We think this is a game changer, not just for our job seekers, but for our ecosystem, for our partners and customers who are looking for talent and looking to diversify. It's a really big focus right now from Salesforce perspective on bringing in net new talent. So we know that there are people being poached from one partner to the next. It's happening a lot, but what we're saying is we need to start thinking about new trailblazers. And lucky for you, we have a ton of new trailblazers coming out of our community. So as you think about looking at resumes, individuals that are coming out of this fellowship application process, look at the new folks who may not have experience. What opportunities can you provide them? How can they fit into your company and grow over time with your company? I think it's important to add that after you hire somebody, say you go through this program and you hire a fellow, that individual will continue to earn certifications for free through our program. You're not paying for instructor-led courses. You're not paying for cert vouchers. Our program is going to cover that for as long as an individual wants to be a part of our program. So as you think about bringing somebody along for the long haul, we're there to support them and support you as well. This is just a great way to get started when you think about bringing in brand new people to the ecosystem. That demand is increasing, as everybody on this call probably knows. I think now the number is 4.2 million jobs by 2025. So we are getting folks certified. We are getting veterans and spouses into this program. And now we're looking into our customers and our partners to bring them along. So we just really want to plug that. It's very, very important from a Salesforce perspective to think about new people, new diverse people. And this is really a fantastic way to start bringing them along, with your company for the future. So as Crystal mentioned, you can reach out to their team, but also our team. Our team is here to support you. If you have questions about our program, the fellowship, hiring somebody for a job, for contract work, we have opportunities for you to get involved in any capacity. This is the way we think that most of our partners and customers can succeed for the long term by giving folks an opportunity to try out the company, find a good fit, and then stick along for the entirety of their careers. So we're thrilled, and we're really here just to answer your questions and provide support.
Thanks so much, Adrian. Really appreciate it. And, in addition to funding this program, I want to say it's already amazing that Salesforce offers free certification training and exams to veterans and military spouses. It's a huge benefit. So this really kind of creates a whole cycle that not only takes somebody and gets them a great skill set, but then connects them to experience so that they're ready to go. And as well, I know on the Salesforce side, it's a lot about having customers who are seeking hires who do have some experience. So we're really helping to close that loop for them as well by creating more Salesforce ecosystem professionals who have some experience and who are ready to go and be productive on your teams. So with that, I will ask Stephanie if we have any questions.
Yes, we do. We have a couple of them. Can I hire in a specific location?
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so sorry that I forgot to mention this. So obviously the entire program is virtual, but let's say you're willing to have a virtual fellow, but you're really looking to hire in Dallas. Ultimately you need somebody on site to hire. So you can do that, but know that the candidates you're going to be looking at will be across the nation. So you definitely want to suss that out during the resume review and the interview process to make sure that you have someone who either lives in your area or is willing to relocate. We certainly have some military spouses who are willing to relocate, but we definitely also have some veterans who are willing to relocate for the right role. You just need to get clarification on that up front so that there are no hearts broken.
Perfect. Is there a list of host companies?
So that is really evolving right now. I would say we have had probably nearly 40 companies right now reach out to us and show interest. And we are taking calls every day on our team, as well as Adrian, to really talk companies through it and figure out, once we've really shared details, who's interested. So we don't have a list of companies right now. I can share, because I've been totally fascinated by it, that the companies are all different kinds. We have, kind of small startups with 10 or 12 people on their team. We have specific Salesforce providers and partners. We have nonprofits who are reaching out, who are really excited. We also have mid-sized companies, and then, we have Booz Allen Hamilton and Amazon who've jumped at it. So we really have kind of every kind of background, every kind of company size that's showing interest right now. And then the proof will be in the pudding. We'll really see, once we've shared resumes and gotten it back, who's fully ready to go ahead and start hosting companies. And once we have that in line, we'll probably just add that into our slides and our collateral so that people can have a better sense for what kinds of companies are engaging.
Perfect. So how does a host company, what do they need to do for benefits or salary expectations during the fellowship?
Oh, thank you for that. Yeah. So we, through the funding of Salesforce, we have hired a third-party agency, what a lot of people just call a staffing agency, that will be their employer during those 12 weeks. So they're paying them, and by the way, the rate is $25 an hour. So they are employees of that staffing agency. So if any of you are working with legal teams that are protective, because that's their job, it really helps to be able to explain to them that anything in terms of unemployment compensation, liability, all of that is handled through them, as they are they are the employer for our fellows. So I hope that answers that question.
Perfect. And I think from the same individual, what is the cohort retention pass-fail rate?
Pass-fail rate. I guess I'm not clear if you're asking about how many candidates go through and get placed, or if it's about how many fellows complete the program. So let me take it on as how many fellows complete the program. And if I'm not addressing your question, feel free to weigh back in on it. I don't have exact numbers, but probably because it has to be in excess of 95%. It's really, really high. Pretty much we do our work, we do our work up front to figure out, that we've got great placements. So I would say generally it's got to be in excess of 95% of our fellows complete the program. And then, traditionally in our other fellowship programs, also the job offer rate is very high, which, I offer up just to say that even if you don't have a job available on the back end, they're generally really, really successful. So 92% of our transitioning service members have offers on the back end of our corporate fellowship program. On our military spouse fellowship program, the job offer rate is 85%. Did I hit that question, do you think, Stephanie?
Yes, I think so. They were asking each cohort starts with X people, how many quote unquote graduate. So I think that.
Yeah. So I feel really comfortable saying 95% or more.
Perfect. A couple of individuals are asking, who is the staffing agency?
Great. So they're called Signature Staffing. They're based, I think, maybe in a suburb of Dallas. But they work directly with us. It's essentially invisible to our host companies because everything's done on our end.
Perfect. And then what if someone's looking for someone that has Salesforce experience already?
Oh, yeah. So I think I mentioned at the beginning that a lot of our applicants are brand new to the Salesforce ecosystem, but a lot of them are not. So you'll easily be able to screen out for that in the spreadsheet that you have. It will list exactly what certifications they have so that you can look at that, as well as how many years of experience they have working in Salesforce. So if your need is for somebody who's truly experienced, that's going to limit the number of candidates that really are a good fit for you, but there will definitely be.
That's all we have at this time.
All right. So Adrian, is there anything I've forgotten to tell them about or that I should be adding? All right. Well, then I'll just, that's okay.
We have everything. So great job.
That's what I read your lips to say. Okay. So then I'll just start to wrap up with, again, thanks to everybody for joining us today, especially if you're on the East Coast, it's a Friday afternoon already. And so, sometimes that can be a little bit tough. And we're really excited for your interest, and we're excited to be able to run this program. We think we're going to be able to create some fantastic opportunities, not just for our veterans and our spouses, but for the companies that are participating in this. I think we're going to see some really great stories come out of this. Feel free to reach out to our team with any questions as they come up. I said at the beginning, and I stand by this, our program is successful because we're a high-touch program. We really like to stay in constant communication. I'll apologize sometimes for that. You might get too many emails from us. But we like to stay in constant communication and let you know what's going on, answer questions, act as a liaison throughout the program. So we're excited to have you guys as part of it. With that said, thanks again for tuning in, and reach out with any questions. Take care.